All right, let's jump into this.
Okay.
Today we're looking at something I think you as a learner will find pretty interesting.
Mm.
How accurately do college students remember and report their SAT scores?
Yeah, that's a good one.
We've got this fascinating research paper from 2007.
Good.
It's called Overestimation Bias in Self-Reported SAT Scores
Interested.
by Mayer and some other researchers.
Right.
And our mission today is to pull out the key insights,
Okay.
the surprising stuff,
Yeah.
and what this tells us about how we all perceive and recall our own academic performance.
Right.
You take this high-stakes test like the SAT.
It's huge at the time.
Yeah. It's a big deal when you take it.
Right.
But how well do those memories hold up?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
And the researchers looked at this by examining data from 5 different groups of college students,
Okay.
totaling 650 individuals.
Got it.
And they just asked them straight up, hey, report your SAT scores.
Okay.
And then they checked those against the official records.
So we have a direct comparison.
We have this really cool opportunity to see how accurate those memories really are.
Right.
What patterns emerge.
Yeah.
The study gets at 2 core questions.
Okay.
The practical one, of course.
Right?
Can we actually rely on self-reported scores?
Yeah.
And a more theoretical question.
Okay.
What is happening in our minds when we try to remember something like an SAT score?
Like digging into the psychology of it.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the core finding here is pretty clear right off the bat.
Okay.
And it's not exactly what you might think.
All right.
On average, students overestimated their combined SAT scores by about 25 points. It's not just random guessing either.
Interesting.
So about 10% underreported their scores.
Okay.
A little over half, 51%, reported them accurately.
Right.
But a significant 39% had a tendency to remember scoring higher than they actually did.
So a clear bias upwards.
Yeah, a good chunk.
Yeah.
Like, this really hints at that.
A psychological tendency to
Yeah.
view ourselves more favorably, even when recalling objective data.
Like a test score.
Right, like a test score.
Yeah.
Fascinating, isn't it?
It is. And it wasn't just a fluke in one group.
Right.
This overestimation was statistically significant across all 5 student samples.
Across all 5.
Yeah.
They examined.
Now, when we say statistically significant, what does that actually mean?
So statistically significant,
Yeah.
it means this isn't likely due to chance.
Okay.
There's a real measurable tendency
Caught it.
for students to inflate those scores just a bit.
So it's a real pattern.
A real pattern.
Yeah, not just random noise.
Exactly.
And it wasn't just the total score. They looked at the individual sections as well.
They did.
Right.
And you see similar patterns
Okay.
of overestimation for both SAT verbal,
Yeah.
an average of 16 points higher than the actual scores.
16 points.
Yeah, and SAT math,
Okay.
where the overestimation averaged about 9.2 points.
Okay, so a little less.
Yeah, a little less.
But still.
Still there.
Yeah.
And just like the combined score,
Yeah.
these upward revisions for those individual sections
Okay.
were also statistically significant.
So again, it's a pattern.
It is a consistent pattern.
It seems like this almost optimistic bias.
Right.
You know, when we look back at our SAT performance,
Right.
it's not just a few hazy memories.
Yeah, and the study really suggests
Yeah.
that this isn't simply individuals making these isolated mistakes
Okay.
when they're trying to remember.
Right? Yeah.
There's a systematic tendency at play here.
Okay, so it's something deeper.
Deeper
Yeah.
than just forgetting
Yeah.
it's something else going on.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's a twist, and I think you'll find this surprising.
Okay.
Despite this tendency to overestimate,
Okay.
the researchers found a strong positive correlation between these self-reported scores and the actual combined SAT scores.
Interesting.
They got an OR value of 0.82.
All right.
Now, for those of us who haven't thought about statistics in a while,
Right.
what does that tell us in plain terms?
Well, that strong positive correlation
Yeah.
is key.
Yeah.
You know, that revalue
Hmm.
is a measure of how closely 2 things move together.
Okay.
A perfect score would be 1.0.
Okay.
Our study found 0.82.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So it's like this, even though the reported numbers tend to be a bit inflated,
Okay.
they still largely reflect the student's actual performance relative to their peers.
Okay, so it's not a perfect link.
It's not a perfect link.
Yeah.
Strong, but not perfect.
Right.
The study even mentions
Yeah.
that about 67%
Okay.
of the variation in those reported scores
Yeah.
could be explained by the variation in actual scores.
Okay.
So while the absolute numbers might be off by a little,
Gotcha.
the ranking of students based on what they report
Okay.
is still quite similar to
Yeah.
their ranking based on what they actually achieved.
So the relative difference is kind of preserved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
High correlations were also found
Okay.
for the individual SAT verbal and SAT math sections.
Yeah.
0.81 and 0.83 respectively.
So very similar.
Yeah, very similar.
Great.
This reinforces the idea that students generally have a pretty good underlying memory
Okay.
of how they performed on each part of the test,
Right.
even with that slight upward nudge when they're asked to recall those specific numbers.
Interesting.
So what this all means is,
Yeah.
while there's a clear tendency to round up,
Right.
that overall picture of their SAT performance in their minds
Okay.
is still reasonably accurate.
It's reassuring in a way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so someone thinks they got a 1300 when they really got a 1275.
Right.
They're still likely to be in a similar performance bracket
Yeah.
compared to someone who reports and actually got 1000.
It seems like everyone's yardstick is a little stretched,
Yeah,
but the relative differences remain.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know there's this overestimation bias,
Right.
but it's not completely detached from reality.
Right.
Now, the study went further and looked into who is more likely to overestimate.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting. For understanding how different students perceive their past academic experiences.
So are there particular groups of students
Yeah.
who show this a bit more than others?
Right.
Well, the study found that students who actually scored below the average for the sample on the SAT
Okay.
had a significantly greater tendency to overestimate their scores compared to those who scored above average.
Okay, so the lower performing students
Mm.
were more likely to overestimate.
They were.
Yeah.
Now, when we say significantly greater,
Yeah.
the study also noted what we call a medium effect size.
Okay, what does effect size mean in this context?
So imagine you have two different types of fertilizer
Okay,
for plants.
gotcha.
If one fertilizer consistently makes those plants grow just a tiny bit taller,
Okay.
that's what we call a small effect.
Right.
If the other fertilizer makes them noticeably bigger,
Got it.
that's a larger effect.
Okay.
So a medium effect size in
Yeah.
our study suggests the difference in overestimation
Right.
between those lower and higher achievers was substantial enough to likely be meaningful in real-world scenarios.
Okay, so it's a sizable difference,
It is.
not just a tiny little blip.
Not just a blip. No.
It makes a certain kind of intuitive sense.
Yeah.
You know, perhaps there's this stronger inclination
Right.
to view past performance more positively
Yeah.
if the actual outcome wasn't quite what was hoped for.
That's a compelling way to think about it.
Yeah.
And it aligns with some theories
Right.
about how we all protect our own self-esteem.
Right. We don't want to feel bad about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The study also found that students in their junior and senior years of college,
Okay. Further along.
further along,
Yeah.
tended to overestimate their scores
Mm-hmm.
more than freshmen and sophomores.
Interesting.
However,
Yeah.
it's worth noting that the effect size for this particular finding was smaller,
Okay.
in the small to medium range.
Got it.
So the difference wasn't quite as pronounced
As with the lower achieving students?
as with the lower achieving students.
Oh, okay. So maybe as students progress through college,
Right.
the specific SAT score becomes less central to their identity. And there's a bit more psychological space
Yeah.
for that positive bias
Right.
to influence their recollection.
That's a very plausible interpretation.
Yeah.
It is.
Interesting.
Now, one finding that I thought was particularly noteworthy
Okay.
was that there was no significant difference
Okay.
in how much men and women overestimated their scores.
That is interesting.
This is interesting because
Yeah.
there's existing research that suggests the SAT might sometimes underpredict
Right.
the academic success of women in college.
We've heard this.
You've heard this.
Yeah.
So you might have anticipated
Right.
that women might show a greater tendency to inflate their self-reported score.
Yeah, because they feel like the test didn't really reflect their ability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this study didn't find evidence of that.
So that is surprising.
Yeah.
Especially given what we know about that whole discussion.
Right.
Yeah, it suggests that whatever's driving this overestimation bias might be more universal or tied to factors other than perceived fairness of the test itself.
Exactly.
Okay, so the researchers considered several possible explanations
Right.
for this combination of overestimation and this
Mhm.
strong correlation.
Yes.
And they concluded that the most likely explanation was what they termed the motivated distortion hypothesis.
The motivated distortion hypothesis.
Okay, let's unpack this a little bit.
Let's unpack it.
Motivated distortion.
Right.
It sounds like there's some kind of internal drive, a
Mhm.
psychological factor
Right.
influencing how we remember
Yes.
and report these scores.
The hypothesis suggests that students have a general memory
Yep.
of their actual performance on the SAT.
Yeah.
That accounts for that strong correlation we keep talking about.
Right.
But when they recall and report the score,
Yeah.
they might unconsciously, or perhaps even consciously in some instances, inflate it.
Just round it up a bit.
Round it up a bit.
Yeah.
And the underlying motivation here, the why,
Yeah, why would we do this?
could very well be related to
Yeah.
maintaining or enhancing their self-esteem.
We want to feel good
We want to feel good.
about ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in social contexts,
Right.
there might be a subtle pressure
Yeah.
to present that positive image
Right.
of yourself.
No one wants to say they got a 900.
Nobody wants to say that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think we can all relate to wanting to remember our past accomplishments
Yeah.
a little bit more
A
favorably
little bit rosier
than they actually were.
than they actually were.
Now, what about other potential explanations?
Okay.
The study mentioned ruling out
They did.
some alternative explanations.
You ruled out a couple.
Yeah, what were those?
One was the memory deterioration view.
Okay, so our memories just fade.
They just fade
Yeah.
and become less accurate over time.
Okay.
However,
Yeah.
they didn't find this to be the primary driver because, as we've been discussing,
Yeah.
those reported scores still showed a strong link to those
yeah.
actual scores.
Right. So there's something else going on.
Something else going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense if it was just a case of fuzzy memory.
Yeah.
Overestimations would be more random
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
wouldn't correlate so strongly with the actual scores.
Yeah.
So that's out.
That's out.
And they also dismissed the accurate reporting view,
The accurate reporting view.
which, as the name suggests,
Right.
would assume students have this very precise recollection of their scores.
Right. And they're reporting them honestly
Right.
without any bias.
Just straight up.
Yeah.
But the consistent pattern
A consistent pattern.
makes that very unlikely.
Yeah. So it really does seem like
It seems like
this motivated distortion is going on.
the psychological push
Yeah.
to remember those wins just a little bit bigger
Than they actually were.
than they actually were. Now let's think about the practical side of this.
Okay.
What are the implications of these findings?
Right.
Particularly for researchers or institutions that might be using self-reported SAT scores.
This is a really crucial point.
Yeah.
For anyone involved in
Right.
educational assessment
Yeah.
or research,
This data gets used.
it does.
Yeah.
The study really gives a strong caution
Okay.
against relying on self-reported SAT scores
Yeah.
as precise, absolute measures,
Okay.
especially when the specific numerical value is important.
Got it.
For example, if you're trying to compare a group of students
Okay.
to national averages,
Yeah.
or to set very specific benchmarks for academic performance,
Right.
using those self-reported scores, which we know tend to be inflated
Yeah.
by about 25 points on average,
Yeah.
could lead to some seriously misleading conclusions.
We're going to get a warped picture.
You're going to get a warped picture.
Yeah.
You might end up with an overly optimistic view
Right.
of a group's academic preparedness.
Right. So if you need truly accurate data,
Yeah.
say for accountability purposes,
Right.
or when making direct comparisons to national standards,
Right.
self-reported scores are probably not a reliable source.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. However, the study also points out
It does.
that because of that strong underlying correlation,
Yeah.
self-reported scores might still have some practical utility in certain contexts.
Yeah.
So for
For instance, they could be useful for categorizing students within a particular study
Okay.
based on their relative levels of prior academic achievement.
Gotcha. So within a study.
Within a study, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to compare higher performing students within your own sample
Right.
to lower performing students within that same sample,
Okay.
the self-reported scores could serve as a rough indicator,
Yeah.
even if the absolute numbers are a bit high.
Got it.
They might also be useful as a statistical control variable in research
Yeah.
to account for prior academic performance without needing to access official records.
Okay. So we can control for it.
You can control for it.
But we shouldn't overinterpret those specific numbers.
That's the key takeaway.
Okay.
Be very careful
Got it.
about interpreting those exact values.
So for internal comparisons, they
Yeah.
might be okay.
They might be all right.
But for anything requiring precise measurement against external benchmarks,
Yeah.
risky.
Risky bet.
Yeah.
And the fact that lower achieving students
Right,
and those further along in their college careers
right.
show a greater tendency to overestimate.
Yeah.
Adds another layer of complexity if your research focuses on those populations.
Yeah, we got to be extra careful there.
Extra careful.
Yeah.
You might see even more pronounced inflation of that data.
Right.
Yeah.
So to bring it all together for you, this deep dive into self-reported SAT scores
Right.
reveals this fascinating human tendency. We often retain a relatively accurate overall sense of our past performance. Yeah.
But might subtly enhance the specifics when we recall them.
Interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And the fact that students who scored lower and those who are further into their college years
Right.
exhibit this overestimation to a greater degree
Right.
raises really intriguing questions about how our self-perception and memory of past achievements evolve over time.
What's fascinating here,
Yeah.
even with this clear bias in the reported numbers,
Right.
the underlying memory of the actual performance seems surprisingly robust.
So the big picture is right.
The big picture is right.
Yeah.
The details, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder
Yeah.
what other kinds of self-reported information
Right.
might be subject to similar patterns of biased accuracy.
It makes you think.
It does.
Yeah, like what about our memories of past grades,
Yeah.
professional accomplishments, or even personal experiences?
All kinds of things.
Yeah. This study provides a lot of food for thought.
It does about the reliability of self-reported data
Right.
across various domains.
It's across the board.
And hopefully it's given you, our listener,
Yeah.
some aha
Some
moments
food for thought.
about the intricate relationship between memory self-perception
Right.
and how we reconstruct our past.
It's all connected.
It is.
Yeah.
We encourage you to consider this the next time you encounter self-reported data, or even when you reflect on your own recollections of past events and achievements.
How much can we trust those memories?
That's the question.
Big question.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Me too.
See you next time.